I'm just going to ask you a couple questions about dyslexia. Okay, so name 3 common misconceptions about dyslexia.
I think that overall people feel like it's quite negative in the sense that it's almost seen as something that children are not good enough in exams, children aren't seen as sort of smart enough from other people. So yeah, I think that overall it's just kind of a negative.
Okay. What type of challenges do people with dyslexia face?
Being dyslexic myself, I think in the younger years you kind of get judged from like exam results and grades, that if you don't get good enough grades then you're seen as, again, not smart enough, and that affects you quite badly.
Would you say that there's a negative stigma with dyslexia?
100%, yeah.
Okay, how can things improve in schools?
I think that schools, especially in younger years, need to kind of teach pupils, not even about dyslexia, but just learning difficulties in general, that they're not always negative, and even some of the smartest people are dyslexic, and that dyslexic people themselves shouldn't think of it as a setback.
As a student, would you say the classroom is a positive or negative learning environment for someone with dyslexia?
Negative, but I think as myself has matured and everyone else around me has matured, that they've kind of seen that it isn't as negative as I think, because a lot of people have it, and a lot of people, especially in COVs, have dyslexia. So especially when you talk to another dyslexic person, you kind of both have the same input on what you think dyslexia is, and so you can relate to one another.
Okay, our final question. What types of challenges may someone with dyslexia face day to day in life?
Day to day, for me it was spelling, like really bad at spelling. People kind of pulling you up for that. Teachers as well sometimes kind of not necessarily making fun of you, but just kind of putting you down just because you can't spell something or you didn't get that question right. That is kind of, you're not good enough. So I think that's a major challenge that people face.
Hello there, what's your name?
My name's Georgia.
What's your position?
I'm a pupil at COV school.
I'm just going to ask you a couple of questions about dyslexia. Okay, so name 3 common misconceptions about dyslexia.
I think that overall people feel like it's quite negative in the sense that it's almost seen as something that children are not good enough in exams, children aren't seen as sort of smart enough from other people. So yeah, I think that overall it's just kind of a negative.
What type of challenges do people with dyslexia face?
Being dyslexic myself, I think in the younger years you kind of get judged from like exam results and grades, that if you don't get good enough grades then you're seen as, again, not smart enough, and that affects you quite badly.
Would you say that there's a negative stigma with dyslexia?
100%, yeah.
Okay, how can things improve in schools?
I think that schools, especially in younger years, need to kind of teach pupils, not even about dyslexia, but just learning difficulties in general, that they're not always negative, and even some of the smartest people are dyslexic, and that dyslexic people themselves shouldn't think of it as a setback.
As a student, would you say the classroom is a positive or negative learning environment for someone with dyslexia?
Negative, but I think as myself has matured and everyone else around me has matured, that they've kind of seen that it isn't as negative as I think, because a lot of people have it, and a lot of people, especially in COVs, have dyslexia. So especially when you talk to another dyslexic person, you kind of both have the same input on what you think dyslexia is, and so you can relate to one another.
Okay, final question. What types of challenges may someone with dyslexia face day to day?
Day to day, for me it was spelling, like really bad at spelling. People kind of pulling you up for that. Teachers as well sometimes, kind of not necessarily making fun of you, but just kind of putting you down just because you can't spell something or you didn't get that question right. That it's kind of, you're not good enough. So I think that's a major challenge that people face.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Cut.
Oh God.
Right, you're next.
Shall I stop recording?
No, just keep
Come on,
it
that's
going.
pretty good. Come on.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to say.
That's good.
That's fine.
That's good answers, isn't it?
Good answers.
Because now I'm just going to say what you said, because that's what's going to be in my mind.
No, be original,
It
free.
was so
I'll try.
good.
Come on.
No, but I think it's easier when you are dyslexic. I can just kind of. It's true though. Everything I said is true. People think it is a negative thing.
They're natural.
People think you're an idiot.
I'm natural.
It is, yeah. You get certain. Yeah, I like it certain.
I liked that. I quite like that because I like telling people that they shouldn't worry about
Oh, wait, Georgia. Can you go into that camera and clap on yourself?
Yeah.
No, wait, if you didn't stop recording now, they're already
I
alive.
need to clap to, so I can see what it's saying.
Okay,
But they're
ready?
still running, so you don't need to.
No, but we need
So
to do it when
we
we know
see-
you're. Just go with
But you're not,
it.
no, because...
Just go with it.
Just go.
Go with it.
Go with it.
He just told me to tell you not to.
Go with it.
Go.
The claps were out of time.
Right.
The claps were
Oh,
out
for
of
God's sake.
Okay, right, okay, we go again. 3, 2, 1. Hello there.
Hi,
What's your name?
my name's Freddie.
What's your position?
I'm a student at Cole School.
I'm just going to be asking you a couple of questions about dyslexia today. Okay, so name 3 most common misconceptions about dyslexia.
I think with something like dyslexia, lots of people have a conceived idea about what they think it is. So lots of people feel like it's a disadvantage, or people with dyslexia have an unfair setback in learning. But I think that's lots of people don't really know much about it.
As a student, would you say the classroom is a positive or negative learning environment for someone who has dyslexia, and why?
Well, I'd say it depends on the classroom, because obviously the people around you will will let you decide whether or not it's negative or positive. Because if they have a positive or negative attitude towards your dyslexia or someone else's dyslexia, then that kind of sets the bar of how the person with dyslexia will feel about it.
What would you say? Would you say that dyslexia has a negative stigma?
Well, again, it depends on the people, because some people have that preconceived idea that it is a negative thing and that it is a disadvantage, but obviously people with dyslexia won't see it as that, and people with a good outlook towards dyslexia as well won't see it as negative.
Okay, what types of challenges do people with dyslexia face?
I feel like when they're in the classroom, lots of people can have like ideas about them, even though they've potentially like never talked to them or don't know them. They think, oh, they're dyslexic, they must be bad at this, bad at that, like, yeah, just bad at certain things.
Okay, final question. How do you think schools can improve?
Well, because I'm not dyslexic, I don't really know like what the problems are for a dyslexic person in terms of being in the classroom with dyslexia. But I know lots of other people who are dyslexic, and I think that like a good way of helping them would be like for teachers not just ignore it, like to embrace it, but in a positive way.
Right. Thank you very much. The interview is finished now.
I'm back.
Stop.
This is the way people like the interviews finished.
I'm plugging. Right, stop.
Yeah,
Audio.
but your voice is like very like interviewing.
Very measured. No
You
shouts.
know what I mean? How do I turn this on?
Just press the top. 3, 2,
I don't think I did it.
Wrong button.
Freddie, how do I do
Wrong
it?
button. The one that's red.
There's no red one on it.
There's going to be all in.
There you go, done it. Donezo, mate.
Great success.
Great success.
No, it's still going. It's too.
I guarantee you're wrong.